Welcome, everybody, to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast in podcast history. My name is Bryan Neal.
I'm Bill Caskey.
We're here every week for your listening enjoyment. So glad that you are a member of our group. Can you say tribe anymore, Bill? Can we say tribe? I don't know if we can say tribe. I don't know. Our group, our posse.
Let's just say we say it. Let's just say it.
Dazzle, we say it. Yeah. Thank you for being part of this, whatever it is. We're glad that you're here. We've got a big LinkedIn group, like 12, 13,000 people in there. Go over there, check it out. We have a wonderful program every month, live coaching session called The Insider. You need to be part of that. And if nothing else, we're glad that you're here, your listener. Tell all your friends and forward this around. So,
absolutely,
that's our deal.
I was at a cover. Is it called a cover band concert?
Cover band, sure, yeah, cover band, yeah.
There was a tribute to the Beatles. It was called 64.
Okay.
And they've been around for a while. They're one of the top cover bands, Beatles stuff. I think they were at Red Rock here a couple months ago out in Denver, out in Colorado. So they're good. And they all kind of dress like the Beatles, and they all have British accents. I didn't realize they're all from Illinois and Ohio. I thought they were really good. And Paul McCartney dude just sounded exactly like McCartney. He had the whole thing down. And they were probably in their late 50s, early 60s. But if you closed your eyes, it was really good. I mean, it was, the guitar and the drum, everything was just spot on with the Beatles. You close your eyes, you wouldn't know if you were listening to the Ed Sullivan Show back in 64. I don't know if you're a Beatles fan or not. I know
I'm medium, actually.
Don't really.
I'm medium on the Beatles.
Yeah. But so we were out in the lobby at the break, and my wife works at the venue at the Palladium. She does some part-time work there. And so she was standing out there talking to a guy, and he had a mask on because there's still mask mandates at this thing. And so I walked up, and she said, "Hey, this is my friend John." And I'm like, "Do I know you?" Because I couldn't really see. I couldn't tell. He goes, "No, I work here with your wife." I said, "Well, what do you think of the show so far?" He goes, "Eh." He goes, he
works there.
I've seen better. And I'm like, okay, were you expecting the Beatles to actually show up? Were you expecting Paul? It's like, you work here, so you think that you would be a little bit more positive, even if you didn't like them.
Correct. Not a good customer experience. You think it's like going to Disney World, and saying to one of the workers, "So what do you think about, the new ride here?" I've seen better. It's Disney World. They go, "Oh, it's magical. Have you been there yet?"
I've seen better is like the ultimate put down.
I want a list from the guy. So who have you seen that's imitated the Beatles better than this? That's hilarious.
And then I talked to Bill Benner. I don't know if you know Bill.
Of course,
yeah. I saw him there. He was on the front row. He had followed these guys around like the Red Rock and to Madison Square Garden. I mean, they've been everywhere. He's been on this. It's like he's old Grateful Dead dude. He's a deadhead for these guys. Yes. So he, on the other hand, just thinks they walk on water. But Mr. Ticketman's like, man.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Bill Benner is a sports writer in Indianapolis who's also a huge music fan, who I admire his taste in music as much as his ability to write on sports.
Yeah.
And so I trust Bill in that one.
Yeah.
And you, not the guy, the guy. What does he want to do? What kind of concert does that guy go to? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, he had a comment on another concert that we went to. My wife gets some tickets occasionally when they don't sell out. And, and so I get the call at 7:45. Hey, you want to see Bill Turpin and the Turpinettes? Yeah, sure. Turpinettes.
The Turpinettes.
So we get some of those are, but Beatles, I think it's hard to beat them. Anyway,
Turbinettes, Bill Caskey. I've seen better. I saw a band called Beatles.
Well, even if somebody came up at halftime, as I say, to a show, that I would say that's good.
It's not bad.
It's better than sitting at home watching Breaking Bad.
Thank you.
Season 12.
I mean, time right.
So.
Okay.
Topic.
Your topic today, we're going to talk about the pending economic doom in your life. Everyone like, oh my gosh, we got a war and this and the economy and inflation and gas prices and and supply chain and blah, blah, blah. And you're a salesperson. You're listening to this because you're like, what do I do with all this stuff? So Bill and I are going to give you some perspective on what to do with all this stuff going on right now, because we believe, I'll give you my 2 cents first on what's happened here recently. And by recently, I mean even the last 10 years, since our last big recession, which was 08, 09, into 10 a little bit. we've been on basically a 10 to 12 year rise that most people that have worked in that time period have gotten really used to. You've gotten really used to sales being pretty darn good year after year. You've gotten used to your commission check being pretty darn good year to year, your 401k, pretty darn good year to year. And at some point, we know this, all things drop. They all revert down to a mean. These markets that go this big never go forever. We know there's going to be another correction or what have you. And my fear is, and I don't know how you see this with your clients, Bill, we have been, I think, now that I hope people don't get mad at me for this, we have been a little immune to our real abilities in this market. When we can sell a lot of stuff and there's a high demand, our sales skills aren't as good sometimes as we think they are.
Agree. Totally agree.
Right? Revenue cures a lot of ills. We sort of just ignore, like, we get a little atrophy. Now that we have supply chain stuff, especially now, not everyone's impacted by this, but if you are, you know what I mean? Like, well, I could sell everything if I could just get it. And are you really that good of a salesperson?
Were you imitating somebody there?
Yeah, I was not. My wife doesn't imitate, when my wife imitates anybody, it always sounds the same, and it sounds kind of like that. What do you think, Bill? It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. She's always like, well, hey, Steph.
That's good.
But it's always the same person. So it's that person who I'm imitating. But I think we have to really do two things. One, look in the mirror and say, okay, how good am I? How good are we? Where do we need to improve? And secondly, I do think you need to, and I'm not like this sort of the sky is falling dude and scary tactic guy, but it's legit. I just look at the stats. At some point, this thing's gonna move backwards. So when it moves backwards, you better be ready to go. Skill wise, ability wise, all the things we teach you on this podcast are all gonna all of a sudden mean everything to you. Not because me and Bill are smart, because you've skilled yourself up. So when it does take a turn, one of my clients talked about the idea of sales readiness, which I love. We've been talking about that topic with our clients. What is your sales readiness level? You think about our soldiers who train for things, all of a sudden might have to use them. And are they ready? Are they really ready? It's been a long time since they've had to use their stuff. So that's my opening monologue, Bill.
Yeah, that was good. And that was very long.
It was very long. I'm sorry.
I've had 7 ideas come and go.
All good. Thanks for being with us today.
See if I can hang on to the last one. Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said. I like your thinking about, are we really using what's in the tank? We talked last week about assets, and I think that kind of rears up here a little bit is, are we really using our best stuff, or have we not needed to use our best stuff because business kind of came? I'm not saying it was easy, but there was a lot of money floating around in the market, and now we might have to dig a little bit deeper. Another thing I think we have to think about is, are we all in on things? Like I was thinking the other day, and I probably shouldn't mention this on this show, but I'm going to.
Go ahead.
Cut it out. Is, we have this podcast that we do once a week.
Yep.
And it's good. And people respond to it. And we have great listeners and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So why is it, and I'm not suggesting this for us, but why am I not doing something every day?
Oh, right.
Why am I saying, oh, once a week's enough for that? And I shoot a YouTube occasionally, and LinkedIn, I put something up there once every few days, and it feels like I'm dabbling in this social media space.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to be obsessive about it, but maybe every day is a good cadence for you if you're only doing once a week now, because at some point, if a recession does come and a softening of the economy, fewer customers are going to be able to either afford or want to buy what you have. So the customer base will shrink, maybe 10%, maybe 80%, maybe 2%, but it'll shrink. That's just the way it is with the recession.
Yep.
What you have to figure out is, how do I dig a little bit deeper to find those people that I may not know, or they may not know me? So you need to find a way to dig deeper. And that might mean going live on some of these platforms. It might mean just posting more. It might mean going more all in on social media or whatever, maybe emailing. So I think you just have to dig a little bit deeper to get, as long as your customer base is still there, there might not just be enough of them or as many of them. So you're going to have to dig deeper.
That's great. Here, I'm going to get in trouble for this one, but I'm going to say it. is we've been in this sort of great resignation mode, and everybody needs people. So all of a sudden, the workers of the world have kind of they've got control now they didn't have before. I don't know if you saw this happen at Goldman Sachs. David Solomon, their CEO, commanded everyone come back to work 5 days a week in the office. He just did this last week. 50% of the people still didn't show up.
Wow.
And then everyone's like, yes, which is fine. That's good. Here's what people don't realize. It's sort of like work from home culture, walk my dog in the day. That's great. I'm all for that. You've never experienced that in a down market. No one has ever experienced that down market. All these companies are driven by investors and life is good. Yeah, I get to work from home, flex schedule, and the numbers keep going up. That is not going to happen all the time. And if you haven't experienced a significant downturn like in 08, 09, a good percentage of our listeners have not, don't know what it's like. The heat gets turned up. It will. And do you have the strength built up, the wherewithal to sustain that when that comes? Because it's going to come, guaranteed. And everything's like nice and rosy, but I'm telling you, and I'm not some gloom and doom dude. I'm just
no, you're not. You're not at all. But you're looking at the signs, and you're looking at what has occurred with all the debt and with all the spending and the inflation, and fuel prices are going to affect everything. We think fuel prices I saw an article the other day about a guy who bought a Tesla out in California. His electric bill has gone from $150 a month to $700 a month, charging his Tesla. Right. So we can talk all we want about electric cars and how it's going to be cheaper. Want to buy gas? Well, guess what? You're going to have to buy electricity to charge it.
Which is
so all that. Yeah, all that eventually flows into your business and my business and listeners' businesses. It just flows. And so if there is a recession, which I think there will be, we might even be in it already because the stock market's corrected 10%.
Yep.
And inflation, I think we're probably in a little bit of a correction. I don't think it's going to last forever, but over the next couple of years, you need to be paying attention.
You have to pay attention. That's the main thing you want to get from this drill is 1, pay attention. 2, measure your own personal sales readiness. If the crap hit the fan tomorrow, and all of a sudden, your record year that you had the last 3 years and that big commission check and that President's Club went away, some of you are going to experience President's Clubs get canceled. The President's Club trip to Punta Cana, they don't have anymore because the sales suck so much.
Is Bill Turpin and the Turpinettes? Is he the
Punta Cana? He is. Yeah, he's at the entertainment. Yeah, he plays 5 to 7 at the Holiday Inn Express Lounge.
He does.
Oh, that's great. But I love what you said, Bill. You need to start to pay attention. I think a lot of our listeners, and that no fault of theirs, haven't had to pay attention because the business has been good. And you're a listener, so we already know you're skilling yourself up. We know that. I think what we're asking here is like, hey, you said, Bill, hit the gym every day.
Hit the
You're
gym.
going 3 days away. Hit it every day.
That's right.
If you've been dabbling and listening to the Advanced Selling podcast, start doing the exercises that we talk about more so than you are now. Get yourself ready. So when it turns, you're ready because others will not be. And if you're the one that's ready, you will be a survivor in that. You will survive and others will not. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen, haven't we?
Heck, start your own podcast.
Right.
Seriously. We've got a lot of listeners who we get emails from, and we don't promote them all the time, but there's an insider who just started his own podcast and he's loving it. He's doing well. He's getting leads from it. So, if you want to do that, do that. You don't have to always be consuming. You can create something too.
Yes. And just tying back to our last episode on assets, now's the time to really, really hone in and start to create assets that you don't have or shore up the ones or enhance the ones that you do have now. And the worst thing it is, then you have great sales readiness. You never have to use it. It's like the Cold War. Good. At least we were ready.
Yeah.
Big time.
So if you are not on our Advanced Selling Podcast LinkedIn group or in it, make sure you go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/LinkedIn and you can get access to that. And we have, 10, 11, 12,000 members. Also, if you want to take a deep dive with us on assets, your personal future, go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/insider. Our next event is April 1st at noon, and we're going to take a deep dive into your personal assets. You're going to leave there with an asset plan. And I've done this before with some clients we have, and it's really useful. You'll get a lot of value on that.
Yeah, especially after what we just talked about. Now it's the time to do that. So, all right. See you next time.
All right. See ya. Bye.